Hello, welcome back to All For United WFC. I'm going to race through this intro because I've got no idea how long my laptop might last. As people know, I've had some issues over the last few weeks with dropping out. I've dropped that twice backstage. So just pre-warn him, if I freeze, if I do any of that, Barry's going to take over as usual on this one because, not going to lie, it's incredibly frustrating. Anyway, welcome back. We've lost I was going to say the derby. It's not the derby, it's a derby again. So Liverpool have done a double over this season, which is incredibly frustrating. We're going to get into all that, the talking points of what went wrong again yesterday. Oh, Emily, I could see you in the chat already. I thought you might like this one. This is going to be a show just for you, isn't it? Just to gloat and everything else. Yeah, to be fair, it's not like it wasn't deserved for Liverpool yesterday, but we're going to get into all that. Firstly, though, I just want to come to two people that were there yesterday because it was a question that was kind of brought up. I'm not entirely sure why, but quite a few people asked this, or not asked this, what we're speaking about on 12. So yesterday was the last game at Prenton Park for Liverpool, so it means that we won't be going back there next season. Do you think? I guess the question is, do you think you will miss it? Obviously, as an away end for me, that to me is probably one of the best in terms of generating an atmosphere. Liverpool away seems to be the best one that we go to. I don't know whether that's because of the way the stadium is, and the sound obviously travels well under there, or anything else. Do you think you'll miss it a little bit going there, or are you quite glad that you won't be going back to Prenton Park again next season? Mark's torn here.
I'll miss it. I agree. I think it is one of the best away ends we do have. So I'll miss it. But I'm also looking forward to going to St Helens as well. It's a newer ground. The only complaint people have about the away end is that if you stand at the back, you've got so many steps to get up. But I enjoy it. I think it's one of the better grounds in the WSL, to be fair.
Those steps are now steep, aren't they? When you especially get to the top. Not for it doesn't go. My knees and those steps doesn't go well together. What about you, Charlie? Are you going to miss it a little bit, or are you quite happy to not be going there again?
It was my first time there, actually. It's nice playing in a proper stadium where you can see. If you're short like me and you go to Boreham Wood, you have to be right at the front, otherwise you're struggling. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, the sound travels well. I thought it was a good away end. It was interesting how few Liverpool fans were there. It was bizarre. There was as many Liverpool fans in the away end as there were in the rest of the stadium, which was strange. But yeah, literally couldn't care less ever about what happens, just generally or emotionally, about other team stadiums. The seats are higher, which helps me out. That's it.
Fair enough. It was interesting when we first got in, they didn't have the lights on. Like you were walking through the concourse, and it was almost like pitch black.
It was pitch black. It was like a House of Horrors. You know what was going to happen, did you?
I mean, to be fair, you could probably say that about the game as well.
The only thing I'll say is the lager is tepid, which I hate. Because it's like, you thought about chilling it, but you couldn't quite be bothered. So it was tepid. It was like it'd been near a fridge. So
they didn't have any... apparently, didn't they run out of crisps like by the start of the game as well? Like they didn't have a lot of... I think it was just chocolate they had left by the start of the game. So, yeah, I don't think they had too much by way of...
I don't think we ran out of any food at all at the back. I think we were well catered for, actually, yesterday. I thought we had a good selection of biscuits and sweets. And yeah.
I don't know how you get them into grounds.
We carry them in. We see these things are called hands. We usually put stuff in the hand and we carry them through.
I think as long as they're letting people in with cardboard signs the size of a billboard, then they really can't have a go at someone taking in some jelly babies.
All I'm hearing here is that Colin needs cutlery to carry sweets into arenas now.
You need to get a bum bag.
I do. Do you not see it? I take that with me and they search it and ask me to take it out half the time.
Oh, you must
bum bag. I have one of those in the 80s.
It's because you're a man. Right. Give that bum bag / fanny pack to a woman and they'll just walk right in with that. So when we go to Wembley, give me your bum bag. Easy.
Why is it called a bum bag? Because you don't put it so it's round by your back, do you?
No, because that's silly. Because you might be robbed.
Call it belly bag.
Belly bag.
It's not the conversation.
That's nice alliteration as well. That's better alliteration than bum bag, belly bag. Try to say that when
it's because the telly's there. And if I'm sat there, can't see the telly. I'm going to have to see the telly because United are playing tonight. So easy.
Yes, just to ruin the bank holiday weekend even more. You're going to put yourself through that one tonight, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. This is not the conversation I thought we'd start with. You see,
TJ, you see, for TJ, he's saying it's a bum bag. Obviously, in America, they call it a fanny pack because they call their backside a fanny. I don't know why they do that, but there you are. It still wouldn't go on your bum.
To be fair, I mean, if we are talking about bum bags, I do have one, but I have mine very tight around my stomach to make me look a little bit thinner.
Yeah.
Oh, for compression, I see.
Like a
No, so
corset.
I don't have the round the waist one. It's got to be over your shoulder. The round the waist will make you look like you're at a car boot or something.
So
like,
do you mean just a bag?
No, like the straps.
One of those bum bags that you wear over your shoulder. So
Yeah,
you mean
they
a
do.
bag?
They wear them
It's
over
not a
that
bum
way
bag.
now.
Yeah, and it like hold in front of your chest. Yeah,
A bit like when we were in PE, Charlie.
A
And we used to have
chest
to wear like the red sash or the blue sash to show what team you were in. And it always fell off your shoulder.
The bibs.
And not the bib stuff. They were just little plastic things. Mark knows what I'm talking about. Back in the old days before they had bibs.
Yeah.
Did they have bibs when you were young?
Sash. You know, like when you get married. You know, like when you get married, you have like hen do and stag
A
do.
cummerbund. Oh, right. Oh, no, sorry, yes. No, I know what
the
they are.
cummerbund
But I
goes
never
around.
wore them.
It's when you wear a dinner shirt,
I
cummerbund.
know what a sash is.
Yeah, it's a sash. That's what you used to wear, is a sash.
Oh,
in PE, that is. I don't wear one now. I have to make that point clear.
Well, are we going to talk about this?
Yeah, I was going to say. What you said there. That's
enjoying
the
this
part of the show. But there we are. Right, let's start with the line, as we usually do. A few changes from the Leicester game, which we we knew that was going to be coming into this one. Charlie, I believe I'm correct in saying we changed with 3. So Tooney came back in, Garcia and Paris with the 3 changes from Leicester. Was that about what you expected, wanted? What? Okay, well, it's a 2-part question. 1, was it what you expected? 2, was it what you wanted?
It was neither of those things. The first thing I do is look at the defensive line, and I think, okay, so we're going to be very lopsided here because no one will want to pass to Gemma Evans, God love her, and that is literally what happened. If you were there in the ground, there were times when Gemma Evans was like, hands in the air, like, pass to me, pass to me, pass to me, pass to me. No, we're not going to pass to you. We're going to pass to Hannah, that's being double marked because they know we're not going to pass to you. I also thought, maybe we're going to play a bit differently because we're playing Nikita Paris up against the world's tallest centre-back pairing. And I mean, in any football, not just women's, like they could be NBA stars. They're that tall. So I thought it's interesting how we're going to play here. But then looking at how we played, I was then staggered that we picked Nikita Paris because we were playing the high looping, slow ball just up in the air. And she wasn't winning any. So I wasn't surprised, but when I saw how we were then appearing to try and set up to play, I was then staggered with who we'd selected.
I definitely want to get into that because, as you said there, when you're playing the long ball to Nikita Paris up against Gemma Bonner, she's not going to win that ball in the air.
It's all right. So if you're playing it maybe a bit lower or flatter, or with the intention of getting it over the centre backs for her to run onto, that's fine. But we were playing it directly in front of them all the time.
Well, yeah, certainly a bizarre one on that one. I mean, Mark, for yourself, was it the line you wanted to see or expected to see? Is anyone going to tell him he's muted?
No, I thought I was looking at bum bags. Sorry. I thought Melvine would have started up front. If I'm being honest, I thought Tooney would have started when she was fit. The back four right now is the back four. Maybe Yifa, but I wasn't expecting it. The one change I would have wanted to keep was Melvine up front. I think she gives us that physicality, and I think we needed that yesterday. I understood, in principle, I think why Mark played Keats, but I would have kept her on the bench and brought her on as an impact sub.
Yeah, and obviously Barry, for yourself, obviously Keats was the kind of one we said on the preview that she would probably come in because she's got a good record against Liverpool. You know, she's our top scorer of the season, so it was probably going to be her. But yeah, was that about what you expected, or was it a bit of a shock when you saw that team come out?
I was totally shocked. She played none of the players that I gave on my preview. But we said that, didn't we? We said that I'd gone for the polar opposite of every player. I just think it was the wrong decision. The reason that I gave before, I stick with, which is you're about to go into a cup final. You want to try and create a competitive atmosphere. You want to make sure that your first 11 are fit and well. Best way to do that, start the players that haven't had that many chances this season and give them the opportunity to try and win a place. And I feel like we would have seen a better performance. We chose not to do that. We went with the status quo, effectively. And it didn't go well. It wasn't the best performance we could have seen. I just would not have made that call. I think Nikita Paris at the end of it is the least of the worries as to where we were. I'm not convinced. Even when you look at the substitutes that eventually come on as well, he's not really given any of those players much of a chance. There's still some that are missing that had the opportunity to come on that didn't. Miyazawa, for example, Guerrero's still the missing person. I'm not even sure she's a real person anymore. I feel like she's just a name that we've put in for a position, so we're filling something up. It's like this was the perfect opportunity to do it, and we chose not to. And I can't understand it. I'm not the manager, so it's not my choice. And as I've said 1,000,001 times on this channel, you'll live and die by those decisions, but it's not the decision I would have made.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on this. I think I would have started Mallard. I said that in the preview. I certainly would have started a different midfielder, as we saw Lisa started. Well, she got hooked at half time. I think that tells you, kind of what you need to know on her performance. She had probably one of her worst halves of football, I think, in a United shirt, which is a shame. But I think it worries me a little bit because, as you said, I don't think I'm going to ask this question later on in terms of did anyone stake a claim for the final to start, and I don't think there's going to be many when we come to that one. Amara put this a bit earlier on though, and this is Mark. You've not been on for a while. So the last time, I can't remember the last time you were actually on, but the last time you were on, this was brought up as a potential. So I'm glad to see it's still alive, and
people won't let me forget it or let Barry forget that we are twins. We're not, but two good-looking fellas. There's nothing wrong with that.
We've already decided. We've already said many times he's Arnie and I'm Danny. None of this Barry and Larry. We've decided that already, so I'm quite happy with it. I like being Danny.
Oh dear. Hang on. Yamara, get me words out. She is out of contract in the summer. You are right. I know she's checked out though. There's a lot of talk about individual players. I want to come back to obviously things like that as well. But Charlie, we started the game okay. We had. I just want to ask you just about those couple of chances. I think Skinner spoke about this in his post match as well. That we did have chances early on. Do you expect us to score those? The ones I'm kind of looking at. I think to be honest, I think we only really had 3 really good chances in the game, and all of them were in a kind of a 15-minute spell. I'm thinking of the Leah through goal that hit straight at the keeper. I think Tooney's chance that she put over the bar, and I'm thinking Millie Turner's one from the corner that she hit straight down the middle on that one. Are those chances you'd expect us to score?
Yeah, there was Mallard as well, wasn't there? With a
towards the end, yeah.
I think the Leah Galton one was unforgivable, verging on. It's one-on-one with the keeper, and I don't even think the keeper even came out to sort of reduce the space or with the intention of trying to smother the ball. It was just straight at the keeper. I just think that was really poor. There were lots of things wrong with yesterday, but I think we can't also hide from the fact that the players were poor. In spite of what the tactics might be, the players were poor yesterday. Toonies, you have to work the keeper. You've got to get that on target. Just showed a lack of composure, which is incredible to say, really, when you think about the goal that she came on and scored against Leicester last weekend. And then Melvin's was just, I think that was a good save from the Liverpool keeper on the stretch because it looked like it was dipping in, didn't it? Top right hand corner. But that was it. There was like Liverpool played fairly well. We offered very little. I think there was very little intensity. It was really boring from us yesterday, which makes the performance from the away end even more impressive because we had very, very little to get excited about. But yeah, the two in the first half from Tooney and Leah, for very different reasons, were poor. To hit that straight at the keeper like that under very little pressure is poor, and then to not make the keeper have to do anything from Tooney is also poor. But that's been the story of a lot of our season. I think you look at the stats and we actually had 19 or 20 touches in Liverpool's box, which is more than they had in ours, but less shots. Keeper had less saves to make, and that just says it all, really, I think. There's too much faffing around, too much trying to walk the ball into the box, too much not taking ownership, not taking the game by the scruff of the neck. Yeah, you hindsight, if that Leah Galton one goes in, it's maybe a completely different game, perhaps. But I wouldn't even bet on that, to be honest, at the moment.
Well, we had 3 shots on goal. 2 of them you just mentioned, the Leah one, Mallard's towards the end, and like I said, that Millie Turner one from the corner. It was kind of pigging her. That we actually, I don't know what, a few of us celebrated because we thought it was in, because we all kind of went, oh yeah, oh wait, it's not in. Like, what? Because there was a kind of feel like a cheer from around the ground, and obviously it was the Liverpool fans celebrating the save at the other end. But from where we were, quite a few of us thought that I might have gone in. Mark, do you agree with that? The kind of, obviously the Galton one's the one, and to me that's where Galton for me suffers from having a lack of a right foot because it's come so central, and you can see her trying to shift around the ball to hit it off her left, and ultimately just hit it straight down the middle.
Yeah, that's the one for me that stands out as the biggest miss. Just hit it with your right foot. I know you've got no right foot, but Giggsy had no right foot either, and he scored a few with his right foot as well. Just take it and see what happens. If that would have gone in, the game probably wouldn't have been any different. I thought Liverpool set up in a way not to be beat yesterday, and it's only very few times that we got past their back 5 as it was. The Leah one for me, though, is the one that could have set that game differently. Might have set that game differently. I don't know, but hit it with your right foot. Just take a swipe with your right foot, because the more you wait for it to get on your left foot, the keeper can come out and cut you down. That for me was the one that I was more upset about.
She scores that last season. She buries that, and that's just been they've been off. These players like Leah Galton the last couple of seasons has scored 10 plus goals the last 2 or 3 seasons. So she's not burying them issue this season either. There's just something not right. It's just been poor. And like we said, there's been issues. We could argue with the tactical setup and things like that. But I've seen a lot of people saying that in spite of that, the players were poor yesterday. There was very much a lack of fight, it felt like, and a lack of professional pride, I would maybe say.
Yeah, I definitely want to come back to that in just a second. I think NT saying Ella's was arguably worse because she didn't even hit the target. It was on her preferred foot as well. That was another one where you think, because I don't think she was that far out. She was kind of around the penalty spot. It's coming to her on her right foot. It's a good position. There's not a load of pace on the ball, so she can kind of put it where she wants, and to blaze it as far over as she did. It was quite impressive to get it that high over the bar, to be fair, from how close she was. But Barry, again, so we're talking about these chances, but we're talking about 3 really, across a whole, probably 100 minutes if you add in the extra time as well of football. Is that enough to win a game? Again, like you said, obviously I assume you're going to say we should have taken them, as we all kind of agree. But yeah, is that enough really to win it?
Well, is it enough to win? Yeah, because if they all go in, we win 3-1. So, I think if we want to do the quick maths, yeah. It takes me back, I don't know if you remember, Connor, 2 seasons ago, we sat here, not quite at this time of year, I think it was a few games earlier, and I'd gone through a whole spreadsheet that I put out there for you all, which showed the difference in terms of the number of shots on target and goals for City, Chelsea, Arsenal and us. And I pointed out that what the bigger teams had was obviously more shots, but more shots on target than anything else. We had 10 shots yesterday. You say we're talking about 3, and that's because there are only 3 that were on target. The rest of them were off target. The ones that were on target, the only one that actually tested the goalkeeper was Melvin. in that top corner. That was the only one that really worked her. Yes, the goalkeeper had to be there for the other two, but straight at her. Straight at her. Now, I try and be positive. I try and think about being fair. And it's very easy for us lot sat here on our couches at home to sit there and say, should use your left foot, should use your right foot, should do this, should do that. When you're there in the heat of the moment and you've got to think about it, you don't get very long. It's a matter of seconds, if that, to make a decision as to what you're going to do. But I think what's criminal for me is that it was either completely off target or, in the case of Galton, not testing the keeper. Like, put it to either side. If she saves it and it's gone down towards the post, you can live with that. That's a good save from the goalkeeper. When you put it straight at them, they ain't got to move, really. And I think that's what frustrates us. You look at that one. Millie Turner had one from a corner as well. That was straight at the goalkeeper. Again, you can just hear the commentator saying either side of the goalkeeper, and that's in. I don't know if it's because we're just going for power. Maybe it's because we sit there and just think if we hit it hard enough, then it will go in. But for some reason, we don't seem to do that. And I just don't know why we don't pick a side and try and go for it. You look at Melvine, like I say, she's picked a side, she's picked a corner. She hasn't tried to put it straight at the goalkeeper, and it's forced to save out the goalie. One we have to sit there and go, fair play. That was a really good save. Ella Toon's one over the bar. Shouldn't be. She's side-footing it. This will happen, but the problem when you only have 3 chances that are of note is that you are going to sit there and overanalyze them to this point because they're the ones that you're going to want to see go in. So, listen, I think it's tough. It's not enough. Liverpool had 19 chances. Mary Earps had to make 6 saves. Now, I can't imagine that Mary Earps had to do too much from what I can see. She didn't really have to dive too much either side either, really. There was 1 or 2 good saves that I saw. But I think for me, that's the big problem. You've got to place them. You've got to know where it is you want to put the ball, and you've got to put it there. And just keep kicking it down the goalkeeper's throat. It's just no good. And for me, that and the fact that we just weren't getting into the positions enough to get some decent clear-cut chances. Listen, Liverpool are a good side now. You know, this isn't the Liverpool of last season. They've improved, they've evolved, they've got better. But no, I think that was appalling in front of goal yesterday, if we're being brutally honest. And if we don't sort that out for next week, it could be a very difficult game if we do not take our chances.
I think that's the worry, isn't it? Everyone I spoke to when walking out the ground, like there was obviously positive. In fact, I'll come back to it, but obviously talking about the final, we'll come back to that towards the end, actually. You know, and I think, yes, Liverpool have improved, and to me, they were the better team anyway. I think they thoroughly deserved the win because we're talking about our chances. Liverpool had a fair few as well. You know, they had a couple that just went over the bar. They had a one-on-one towards the end that just hit the side netting, and the one off the post as well, actually, in the first half at Liverpool. They should have scored. You know, I think it was Coy Visto kind of hit the post and then the follow-up. I don't know how she put it wide because she's only about a yard out. So really, you know, we're talking about our chance. Liverpool had their fair share as well. I think that's what worries me. That yes, we had a couple, and you know, when Marston is talking about, you know, we have enough to win the game. Well, so did they. You know, they could have been 2-3-0 up as well. So, you know, it swings and roundabouts when you're talking about the chances itself. Just a very quick point I wanted to talk about in terms of, and then we'll come back to, I guess, the Liverpool goal and what else potentially went wrong and what we would change. Because I put this on Twitter earlier on, and there's a lot of, I guess, discussion around it because Matt Beard did get sent off. We assume, obviously, for his, he must have said something that's obviously got him sent off. Do we think Gemma Evans was a little bit lucky with a little incident with Corvisto, or do we think it's just one of those where, yeah, it just happens? Because having watched it back, I'm torn. I can see a world where she gets booked for that because there is a push. At the same time, it's definitely not any more than that.
It happened in the PSG game, I'm sure, to Rachel Williams at Lee Sports Village. She was sent flying into the hoarding. It's one of those things, isn't it, where it happens fairly often, a bit like when a player jumps for a header and the player that's marking them makes no effort to win the ball but just backs into them so they land on top of them and then land. It's one of those things that the officials have to decide, the governing body, whether that is deserving just generally of a booking or not. but you see it happen every game. Like, not every game, but you see it happen often enough. So I would say no, it's not a booking, because it's not been a booking for players before. Is what I would argue. But I'm glad the player wasn't hurt, because it could have been nasty, couldn't it? And thankfully she was all right to continue. I don't really want to talk about refereeing decisions too often in this game.
I think this one was made worse by especially being in the ground. You heard the smack off the board, and the whole crowd went, "Oh!" like, because you could see a kind of head like almost ricochet off the sideboard. So it looked worse than it probably actually ended up being in the end.
And I think in actuality, that's probably what made it look worse than it was, because you heard the force she went into the hoardings with. Was it a yellow? Should it have been more? If that happens in the men's game all the time, where you get tackled and they go flying off and they hit the boards, it's not a card in the men's game. So I probably agree with Charlie. It shouldn't really be a foul in a card in the women's game. Like Charlie said, I'm glad she got up and carried on, but it probably, from where we were and on the TV, it sounded a heck of a lot worse than in actuality it might as well have been. I don't want to talk about refereeing decisions like Charlie, because we won't get off here tonight very quickly. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to know what Matt Beard said, because I didn't even realise he was gone, because I was too busy watching the medics and making sure the other player was all right.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think, like you said, it probably looks worse. I think Jayde is probably right. It wasn't even that bad. It was worse than the women's. I agree. I don't think it was anything. I think, like you said, it's the noise it makes. And when you see a player go down holding their head after just whacking the ball, and to be fair, it's not like it's like they're rock solid, those boardings around Prenton Park. So that would have hurt. I can well imagine on that one. But I mean, Barry, you were shaking your head when I asked the question, so I'm assuming you're not.
It's ridiculous. Like, genuinely, I know we've got to fill an hour, but my God, like, this is the most non-talk about.
Hang on, the manager got sent off. It's definitely a talking point.
You know what? Like, the biggest talking point for me is that Sky Sports, on their, big Sky Sports that wants to give the women's coverage and really put their weight behind the women's game and lift it up, put a red card for unknown. Unknown. His name's Matt Beard. He's the manager. To the point I had to tweet it and go, who is this unknown? Was she put in before the deadline day? Was she allowed to be registered? Who's unknown? I needed John Neville to tell me that it was the manager that got sent off, because it's unknown. That's the talking point. Put a bit of respect in the women's game. Stop chuffing about doing stupid things like that, or putting players in positions they're not actually in on the lineups. Take it seriously. Stop just pretending you're interested. Do it properly. That'd be my argument with them. With regards to this, it's a nothing. Alan Smith, when playing for Manchester United, broke his leg. He broke his leg because the football was hit so hard, it smashed his shin and snapped it in half. All of us went, oh, none of us went, that's a yellow card, you can't break someone's leg. I would never wish for anybody on the pitch to be hurt. Never, ever. And as everybody said, I'm glad that she got up. But there was nothing there. There wasn't a push. The arms went out. You're running. You're jostling for position. That's what happens. Unfortunately, the hoardings really, really close to the touchline. So as a result, the minute she went down, that's all she was going to do. Of course, you sit there and go, oh, but let's be honest, it's a bit like WWE. Sometimes you watch that and you go, oh, that looked painful. But we all know they've made it so it doesn't hurt that much. But the noise makes it sound good. That's why when they're punching people, they're smashing their foot on the floor, because it makes it sound like they're really battering them one. They're not. It's a joke. It's not real. A joke, like this topic point. If that's a yellow card, then I'm Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hang on, is WWE fake?
Sorry, Mark. Didn't want to be the one to tell you this, but yeah.
Oh,
predetermined, I think, is the word. Otherwise, they get upset.
Do you know about Santa?
Oh, I've known about him for ages.
Oh, okay.
It's the Easter Bunny he's worried about. We'll leave him out of it. But yeah, not in a million years.
Yeah, I don't quite know where I stand on it. I'm just glad that she was all right. Because as I said, when she initially went down, it was just like, I think there was because before that, as has been mentioned, I think Simon just puts how many head injuries did Liverpool have yesterday and how many of them were actually real. Before that, there was so many times they went down. Just, I'll get up. I think on that one, it was like, okay,
Yeah,
no, she's allowed to stay down.
But at least with all those injuries where the physio came on, the referee played it to the letter of the law and made them go off for 30 seconds. Oh, no, she didn't. She only made Hannah Blundell do that. Oh, crazy. Weird how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially
anyway,
with the head
I'm done. That wasn't why we lost the game. That wasn't why we lost the game, guys. I'm well aware. But why don't the referees know the admin of the game? Why don't they know the admin? Continue. Sorry, Connor.
Well, I can take it Mike's not been here since the beginning of the show because we've already had this discussion.
Oh, you can talk, Mike.
I'm not saying he's wrong, but he's late.
Sorry, can you call him by his real name? Ace, please. It's Ace.
Wait, Mike calls himself Ace now. Not Ventura, just Ace.
I'm stuck in two minds here. Part of me wants to get the picture back up of him so that we can just all laugh at Mike again. But the other part of me is just sitting there and thinking this is the same guy who got Ella Toon and Melvin Mallard mixed up. So maybe I do look like
Who did? Who did?
Oh, yes, you wasn't stood next to us at Brighton, was you? Yes, that was very funny.
Amazing. I wouldn't believe that. I don't know.
It was way down the other end.
Had Mike been drinking?
Oh,
and as well.
Probably.
Oh dear. I've put the player of the match poll in the chat, so you can vote between Garcia, Zellum, Letitia, and Riviere. If you don't agree, you can come back to that towards the end. There's obviously been a lot of chat about Zellum, as there usually is. To be honest, I think this, and I hate to be that guy, I think this is an online versus in-game person, because everyone I spoke to like that was there in person thought Zellum had a really good game. Most people I spoke to who watched it online said that she didn't. So I want to come back to that because there seems to be a miss of thing on that one.
During one of the many intervals in play, what was interesting is that Zelly got the whole team together and she gave them, they'd all run over to Mark and then she came back and she got them all. And it was interesting to see that kind of leadership from Zelly on the pitch. And then Keats got involved as well. And Keats was saying where they wanted to shoot the ball, playing and all this. Actually, yesterday at the game, I'm not saying I thought Zelly was the best on the pitch, but she was definitely there for a reason.
Well, that's why we put 4 names on the poll. As I said, you may not agree with them. That's the 4 names we've gone for. And as I said, it's not exactly it's not like people were outstanding in the game. So we had to pick 4 names based off who was the best out of all of them on that one.
Sorry, Jennifer. No, it wasn't an unknown reason. It literally says unknown, red card. I didn't know the person. It was disgraceful in Sky Sports. I've absolutely had enough of their app. In fact, they put the app into crap, which is what their coverage is on that app. It's horrific.
So I'm just reading your comment because I can see my name in it before I brought it on screen. I didn't know whether you were having a go at me or what it was.
I'm having a go at you. Still having a go at the Sky Sports app.
No, not you. The comment that's addressed to me. I was reading it before I brought it on screen on that one. But yeah, I mean, did skid it a couple of times. He doesn't do it as often though these days. It's not really a Mark thing. It's usually Ian Wilcox or Charlotte or somebody else. And I don't think Mark is just that type of manager these days that is going to be on the touchline. It's going to be the others. On that one. Right, the Liverpool goal. What went so wrong on this one? Because we knew it was going to be a set piece, right? That was going to be the way Liverpool scored. They scored 3 against Chelsea in midweek. But, I mean, this one is a short corner. And to me, you've got 3 phases to stop the ball. You've got the first initial pass where it goes short. The first crossing, you've got the front post. And then it goes through everyone at the front post. And you've got the phase at the back post. How does that go in, Charlie?
They'd already had the warning signs not long before that where the centre-backs had left a ball for Mary to come and collect and Mary hadn't. Do you remember the Liverpool player headed it into the post? And then it ricocheted, hit her again, and then it went out. The damning thing for me, there's 2 things. There's 2 things that are damning. It's where she scores from. So last year, Mary claims, though, I think I was saying to someone at the game, 12 12 yards, within 12 yards, Mary was claiming everything last season. She was plucking everything out of the air. Okay, she was like a battering ram. She got everything. She doesn't come off her line now. And it's the fact that, was it Clark that scored? Unmarked. She was unmarked. She was completely unmarked. There was no one anywhere near her. She had a free run at that ball. And there was no one marking the space. So I just don't get it. And then everyone's looking around each other going, well, it was you. No, it was you. No, you should have come for that. No, you should have come for that. Just absolute chaos. Just absolute chaos. That's how I describe the whole game, though, for us. Chaos and fraught. But yeah, it's criminal. A good ball into the box is a good ball into the box, but for the keeper not to try and come and claim that when it's within 6 yards is insane to me, when she was so good at that last season. And for the player to be completely unmarked, she was making a run up unimpeded into our 6 yard box. Crazy. Absolutely bonkers, that.
I don't know why Mary stopped coming off her line, because I said this after the game at the Etihad when Jess Park scored the second, I think it was, and it's within her 6 yard box. I'm like, why has Mary not come for that? And it's the same here. But there seems to be so much miscommunication in the back line. Mary and Mayer actually had an incident, I can't remember whether it was in the first or second half, where like between them both, and Liverpool went through on goal because, again, there was a mix-up between the two of them. And it's just like, I don't know what has gone so wrong.
No. But all season, hasn't there been, like, correct me if I'm wrong, or if I've imagined this, guys, but like watching at home or being in the stands with me, Mark was always with me, unfortunately for him. But it's felt like all season Mary's just not been coming for stuff. So that's what I've said before. That's an instruction. It's almost like that's an instruction. Which, if you have a keeper that you don't want to come, that you've told they have to stay on their line, fine. But then there needs to be another tactical nuance to that, doesn't there? Where you've got your centre backs covering the space, preventing the shot, preventing the header, and so we haven't. So we've got no defenders covering that space or covering the players approaching, and the goalkeeper also doesn't come off the line. But that wasn't a one-off yesterday. That's all season. Now, if you're Beth England or you're Martha Thomas, you're watching that and you are licking your lips for next week. You're thinking, amazing. We're going to be running into that box unimpeded, and the keeper's not coming for it ever. That's what I can't get my head around. That's the thing I can't work out. You don't go, oh, she didn't come off a line, but clearly that's what the strategy was. They were doing something else. It just doesn't seem to be. No one takes responsibility for anything.
Well, I think that's what Heine's saying. Why would it be an instruction if it was?
Well, yeah.
Last
Why would it?
Keep that going.
That's crazy.
I've got no idea either. I wouldn't know. The only reason I can think of is you've then got. I think actually Mark's going to say this in his post match about the defending the zones and the things like that on set piece. So we're clearly set up that way rather than player to player. But it's like, well, as you said, you can't have a player completely unmarked at the back, especially when it's a short corner as well. It's not like you've had two phases to stop that. So yeah, to me, it's just poor. As you said, Charlie, the warning signs were there. It's not like that was the first and only corner they had. I mean, Mark, what were you thinking when that at the back of the net? Obviously, that was right in front of us, and it was just killed the mood, really, didn't it? Right before our time as well.
You know, I watched the Liverpool Chelsea game from last week, and Liverpool looked dangerous from the set pieces. So I thought, you thought, well, United are going to probably, hopefully, do a lot better. And they didn't. You look at the goal, Leah's ball watching with the player who scored it right in front of her. And then, as Charlie said, everyone just stands around pointing fingers at each other. Last season, our defensive record was amazing. We had the best goalkeeper in the WSL. We probably had the best defence in the WSL. And this season, for whatever reason, and, it could be a number of reasons, it's like they've only just met before they go out on the pitch to play. And I think that, for me, is the biggest disappointment. You go back to the City game at Old Trafford. Mayer and Mary were having a right set to with each other. They were both pointing the fingers at each other. And it doesn't look like it's got any better. I think defensively this season we've looked better when we've had Jayde in that side. And I'm not underselling that. I think that's when we've looked probably the best. But defensively, without Jayde or anything like that, I just worry that balls will be coming quickly and we can't defend. And I don't know why. Millie's been at the club since we've reformed. She knows how to defend. She's got England call-ups because of her defence. Mayer, she's had England call-ups because of her defence. Mary's the best goalkeeper in the world. I'm really sorry to shatter people's this, but if Mary's the best in the world after yesterday's performance, I think they need to look at what the class is the best, because yesterday it was bad. It was as bad as I've seen it.
Her distribution was certainly not on it yesterday with the, I think with the long balls. And you flip that the other way around, Liverpool's keeper Tegan Micah, her long balls and passing accuracy was almost top notch.
That's a massive. That is a worry, isn't it? Like, if the long ball distribution is not good, and we're easy to put under pressure and press by the opposition, you're always going to struggle, because they're your two avenues for getting the ball out, aren't they?
But can I make the argument Mary's distribution hasn't been great, not just this season, but for the last couple of few seasons?
But we've had another outlet, haven't we? And we don't seem like it was. I know like people joke about Gemma Evans that it's, but she was the player that was there yesterday, and it was so obvious whenever Mary had the ball, if she wasn't going to kick it long, what was going to happen? It was always going to go to the right. It was almost comical. It was like a skit, like how often Gemma Evans was free and the ball wasn't played to her. So Liverpool didn't even have to bother. They didn't even have to bother putting players. There were times when on the left-hand side we had Evans, Noel Sundors or Zellum and Galton when our centre-back or goalkeeper was in possession of the ball. We had a 3-on-1 overload on that side. But Liverpool just didn't bother putting players there because it was like, they're not going to pass that way. Like, Leah Galton was barely in the game because we wouldn't pass to the left-back. Like, I just think if you're in a situation where you're not gonna include a particular player in the build-up play at all, why have you picked them? Why are you doing that style of play? Like, just play three at the back. Play Hannah Blundell as the Kyle Walker for England's route when Southgate plays three at the back, and get Mia Zara on, get an extra midfielder on, get Hayley Ladd on from the start, and just pack the midfield if that's the case. But to play a player when you're trying to build up from the back that you're literally not going to pass to ever, even where they're completely free, you're going to choose to pass to the centre back or the right back that is in a 2-on-1 situation, not in their favour. That's crazy. That is bonkers, isn't? Is that not bonkers? Like, to play like that?
There's also no reason for it either, because you've got Aoife Mannion there on the bench who's played solid at right back. You start her if you're not going to start. And I agreed with not starting Jayde, by the way, because she's only just come back from an injury. But put Aoife at right back and then put Hannah on the left, and you don't have that issue. I just don't. Well, there's not an injury to Mannion, I can tell you that for a fact. So it's like, this is clearly a reason why Evans is at the left and Blundell's on the right. Obviously, for the final, it's going to be different. It's probably going to be Jayde and Hannah anyway. But I mean, Barry, what like Charlie said, why would you have Evans there if
Mannion's on the bench? So there was no reason for this. Look, I mean, Imara's given it this. She knows she can't rely on her back line, and she's saying how she thrives in a communicative back line, as if there's been a whole load of changes. Let's be clear. The main change is one player. Hannah Blundell has played pretty much all season, as has Laetitia, as has Turner. The only person that's different in that back five is either Gemma Evans or Jayde Riviere in general. However bad it's been, we have mostly had three of those four available. And it's nothing to do with the communicative backline. I don't know why it is that Mary Earps isn't coming out and claiming the ball and doing what she should be doing, and why she's not doing what she did last season. There's people claiming it could be because there's no Martin Ho, that it's a coaching issue. There's 101 different reasons as to what it could be. But John Commode messaged me during the match yesterday, and he had a few things that he was talking about with it. And I literally just responded with, I'm tired of talking about the changes that he makes and the things that he does with the team, because I gave him, puzzling time. So there's a matter of excuses. It's literally that. We have sat there and I've given him the benefit of the doubt all through his first season. Rightfully so, because look at how the second season went. It was really, really good. This season has not been good. Now, don't get me wrong, we go to Wembley and we win that cup final. I've made it clear, I said it last week. I'll say it again now. We win that. Everything else that's gone before in my mind will disappear for a bit. That buys a bit of time. That buys a bit of credit because it's the first major trophy that this club would have won. But the problem that I've got is I'm not convinced that the way the coaches have set up and the things that they're doing is going to be the one that takes us across the line with the rate and with the way in which they're employing some of these match tactics. It was highlighted about the set pieces. We've let them play a short corner where the player comes in and just puts it in towards the far post. And it was just the easiest goal you're ever going to see. It was absolutely awful. And I don't think that's just down to communication. I don't know why we are insisting on, and I've said this all season, why we're faffing about putting players in there. We did it with Maria, sticking a centre-back into a left-back spot. We knew that we weren't going to have Gabby George. We knew that. When Jayde got injured, that didn't help. We had a transfer window where we could have got a fullback in, and we didn't. Now, that might not be Mark Skinner's fault. That may have been the people above him that were refusing to allow more people to come in. But we've had that opportunity to deal with that problem, and we chose not to deal with it. And as a result, this is what we've ended up with. We're putting players in positions that they should not be in and that they cannot do to the best of their ability. It's not going to happen. And it's a madness. I don't understand it. And because I don't understand it, I don't feel like it's sensible for me to be sitting here trying to have a conversation about what we're going to do. You know, because he whinges about not having a left-footed left-back as if Hannah Blundell wasn't voted player of the season by, I can't remember if it's the fans or the players, but she was voted as a player of the season last year. She did really, really well. And we're sat there now having this discussion about who should be a left back. I can't, Connor. It's killing me sitting here and trying to work it out. I sit here and do logic puzzles and things like that. There is no logic in what is going on here. There is no sense. It's nonsense. And I can't.
Go on, Mark.
I think for me, the conversation around the defence recently, and I get it, we need to criticise it. We do. You've got Gemma Evans, who, you know, as Charlie said, the players clearly didn't want to try and pass to. You've got Aoife on the bench, who, when she has played, I think she's looked all right going as a right back. So you could have done what Barry said, play her there and play Hannah on the left. But for some reason, he wanted to play Gemma. And I've not, you know, I think we criticise, you know, we've got to criticise it where criticism is due. And yesterday, and every time Gemma's played, the players look very anxious when she's on the ball. And I think you've got to look at that part of it, that the players are not comfortable with her. So if that's the case, then you've got to ask the question is, why is she playing? And the only person who can answer that is Mark himself. And I don't think we would get that answer from him. Dave asked a question before. Yeah, it's a signed Eric shirt on my wall.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. At least I read what? This there. The big thing. Hang on. Do that. There you go.
There we go. Oh, you got
Charlie even missed that.
Charlie's gonna have to rewind him.
That was like a game show.
You're on mute.
I've got a special prize.
I've got the actual show up behind my phone, so I just saw the Queen come in all Gabby Roslin present it. She was like a ring girl off the boxing.
She's just brought me, and look at this. She's brought me a drink in it and a small treat as well.
Nice.
Well, the chocolate is available.
Oh dear. Yeah, I can't remember what the original question was. We went on quite a few tangents there, but yes, I agree. But I'm just going to leave it there. Right, I've got a couple of questions before we come to player of the match and obviously rounding it off. Which one should I go for? While we're talking about defence, and I will just quickly let's go to what should I do? No, I'll leave that till last actually because it was a positive. Right, a question that I kind of wanted to ask, and again, people have suggested and things like that, which I'm not sure I agree with actually at the moment. Charlie, people were saying there's a bit of mentality shift since the Chelsea game. Obviously, since we beat Chelsea in the semi-final, we played Spurs through 2-2, beat Leicester away, which was a poor performance, and obviously yesterday. Do you think there has been a case of the players not trying as much in the league? Because my argument to it is you look at their reaction at full time and you tell me that game didn't matter to them. That's like, you would think we'd lost the cup final with how some of those players looked at full time in that game to me, especially, I'm looking at Mary and Maya, Lucia, these types of players. They look absolutely gutted that we lost that. So do you think it is a case that that the players are looking towards the final, or do you think that again it's other factors in terms of the reason why we lost?
If I hope not. I hope there's not a case of like, surely if you're going into a cup final, you want some momentum behind you. Like, surely. And there's a bit of professional pride at play to want to finish as high as possible, because it can't be good for morale if you're playing dreadfully and not winning football games regularly. And it's also, it's a bit like, okay, I'm going to put this in a way that makes sense to me as a teacher. If a student doesn't try hard, doesn't appear to try hard, and wants to blame anyone and everyone else for things not going well, and they've not done their bit, I would challenge them on them being shocked and stunned and feeling put out for not getting the result that they wanted. You need to work hard. It's not just going to happen for you. So if there is a mentality of, or we're just waiting for the FA Cup final, that would be dreadful, I think, because you're not just playing for yourself, are you? It's like, and again, maybe it's me just being, I don't know about it, but playing for the badge, like all those fans that travel all that way willingly. Like if someone had said to me on Saturday, you're going to go to Prenton Park, you're going to lose 1-0, I, like a mug, would still go. I would still go, even if I knew we were going to lose. Because it's just the bare minimum, isn't it? It was just, to play that bad, I just think to be playing that badly regularly, and yesterday was the peak of the poorness that we've played. That just something's not right. I refuse to believe that elite professional athletes are just thinking, not bothered about winning. I just don't feel like that can be the case. And if that was the case, get out.
Especially as well, because I think I said this to you last night, like especially for me, because it's Liverpool. Surely, especially obviously the United fans amongst the team, you're not going to want to lose, let alone once. That's twice now, in the season with Liverpool done the double to this at the start. So to me, that adds an extra thing for them. Like you, and that's why I think, to be honest, the players some of them look so visibly frustrated at the end, because again, it's another defeat. Obviously, they would have known they played poor in the game, but there's got to be that.
Imagine if next season, within the first 3 fixtures, we happen to have the first 2 fixtures of Chelsea and Arsenal, let's say, and we lose them both. Do we then just go, oh, well, league's gone, so we'll just not bother again for, like, that can't be your mentality, surely. Someone take over.
Okay, I'll take over. I think it's very difficult for them not to be thinking ahead to the cup final. I think to have a cup final in between league fixtures isn't ideal. Our league campaign this season hasn't been great. We will all say that, but we all travel up and down the country to go and watch them, regardless of whatever happens. It's what United fans are the best at in the world, and I will say that about any team at any game we go and watch. We will go and support whether we win, lose, draw. However, yesterday at the final whistle, there was more riding on that game yesterday for United. It would have guaranteed us a 4th finish place. It would have guaranteed it. And yesterday, for whatever reason, whether it's the tactics, whether it's the players' mentality, everything all put together, and they are looking at the cup final. It just didn't work out. However, I will find the positive for that game yesterday to put on for next weekend. We can't play any worse. We can only get better. And that's the only thing that dragged me through that game yesterday, is knowing that we can't play any worse. And that's it for me. That's where we are. Yesterday we were rubbish. Next weekend we've got to be better, because if we play like that, we'll get beaten. And that's it for me. The mentality yesterday wasn't great, but I would still, like Charlie, I still travel up and down to watch them, because it's United and it's what you do. And yeah, look, that's the positive for me. We can't play any worse. We can only get better. As Dereem once said. That's a musical reference there, Connor, for you. Dereem were a band in the early 90s or late 90s.
Is that thing from James correct? Only one away win in the WSL.
No, one away win.
And that's what I keep coming back to. This isn't just we've been not good for 2 weeks. Because you can almost go, oh, well, you know, FA Cup finals coming. My worry has been, I've been vocal about this with my chums at the ground, this isn't a 2-week issue. This has been majority of the season, bar when we play Everton. We love playing Everton, don't we? We really love playing them. Play them every week.
The comment above that, I think Barry, you just said this as well, what Simon's just stressed, with 1 point against the team, like the top 5, we picked up 1 point. Liverpool have picked up 12 this season. Chelsea have picked up 10. I think Arsenal have picked up 13. City 15, I think. So we are way off, you know, in terms of picking up points against the top 5. And I think we picked up 16 last season against the top 5. So you're looking at it from that point of view. We can get up to 4. That's the most we can get. And obviously if we beat Chelsea, but yeah, not good on that one. I don't know whether Barry was just going to jump in. Oh, yes, here we go.
I've already said my piece, really, Connor. This is why we needed to give other players a start. Like last season, I was very clear about it. We weren't making change for change's sake, because the players that we had were doing a good job and they were doing really well, and they had the momentum and they were looking like they were going to win something. You know, they had an opportunity of winning the league. Can you believe it was this time last year that we were going to play Chelsea with the knowledge that we could win the league? You know, we had these sorts of things in our locker, and this season it doesn't look like we've got that. But what really frustrated me was if you give those players, like you get these players, these supporters, that talk about Skinner being a donut for not playing players, not playing Guerrero. And I've always argued and always said that, you know, they do see these people in training. They do make their decisions based on what they've seen there. But also, it's a very short calendar in terms of the number of games that are available. So as a result, if you make those decisions and it goes wrong, I mean, this year's the first year the WSL is going to be won by a team that has lost more than 2 games. Like the winner's going to have lost 3 games this season. And by Charlie, and that's the thing she does just to change spaces. It's unbelievable. And
it's
now
like a magic act, isn't it?
But genuinely, I just don't understand why this season in this game it was absolutely the time. It was absolutely the time to do it. It would have given them that impetus, that opportunity. Which of those players out there on that pitch yesterday were worried about their position? Was Ella Toon coming off of that pitch thinking there's a chance that Miyazawa starts over me? Is Katie Zellum coming off thinking lad's going to be starting? Is Earps coming off thinking Tallis Joyce is going to play? There's no, you talk about jeopardy, there's the jeopardy. Like, it doesn't matter whether we won 7-0 or whether we lost 7-0. The same players were likely to be starting next week, with the exception of the defence. Because obviously Jayde's going to go right back and Hannah will go left. But other than that, which is the only sensible change you could make, there will be no changes. And that's because these other players haven't been given the opportunity to go out there in this game and do it. We couldn't have done any worse. And for me, that's the first time I've looked at a Skinner selection and thought that's unforgivable, because I could have told you before the game started that we weren't winning that game.
The one thing that surprised me yesterday, in the sense, is that at half time he had to change a midfielder. Now, it was going to be Lisa. We all know it was going to be Lisa. There was people who I was stood with, Charlie, who wanted Hayley Ladd to come on. But I thought, you know what? Irene can't do any worse than Lisa. Give Irene 45 minutes. She's not had a game since the City in the Conti Cup, I think, if I'm right. I might be wrong on that. Give Irene that chance. Just let's see what she can do. She can't play any worse, but I understood, in essence, why he brought Hayley on to try and shore us up in the middle. But it didn't work. And at that point, then he brought on Rach, and then he brought on Melvine, and then he brought, his changes yesterday were the changes I would have, with the exception of the Hayley Ladd one, I would have made all the changes he did. But next week, the team will be the lineup will be different, as Barry said. But yesterday, there was no jeopardy on some of those players, like Barry said as well.
It was a great opportunity. And the frustrating thing is that Mark Skinner himself says you can't put these match situations in place in training, because when you're doing that, you're playing against Manchester United and we'll always play like Manchester United. We know what Hayley Ladd can do. We've seen Hayley Ladd play for Manchester United and we've seen her in training. That was an opportunity, as Mark just says, to stick Guerrero in there and see what she can do. What can she offer? Can she get herself into the argument? And they didn't. And it's just like, it's madness. What I won't get on board with, though, is that Dave, God bless him, has just sat there and said, we deserve to lose next week because of the performance yesterday. No, we don't. Like, that's just, people are getting emotional now. We deserve to lose next week if we play like that next week. You can't go, well, we won that. It's brilliant. We won 4-0, but we should have lost, really, because we were crap against Liverpool. I'm not having that. But we're getting a little bit too dark and deep there. But it's not good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think, the fact that Lisa was brought off after, as I said earlier, I think she had a poor game. Jayde was always going to come on at some point later on in the game. And the subs, other than that, were predictable. As soon as we got to around the 55th minute, I think I said to Jess or Rob next to me, I was like, Williams is coming on in the next 5 minutes. Oh, lo and behold, Williams comes on for Paris. It's the same. So that sub is coming at some point in a game. And Mallard and Jason I was looking at Mallard, Jason, and Hinney were warming up, and I was just watching us go in. We're in the late 60th minute at the point, and I was like, "You've got 3 elite players there, and we're 1-0 down. Like, what are we waiting for?" And I'm kind of just looking at it, and obviously, eventually, they did come on, but it's just, I don't know. For me, it's just like you said, there was no real fight. There's no real for next week. I think we'll cover this in the preview, but I think 9 out of that 11 are pretty certain to start next weekend. I think you're probably looking at one of the attackers and obviously Jayde instead of Evans. The rest of them, I think we'll see that team start next week, which is what it is. If we win the game, I don't really care who starts, to be honest, next weekend. It's just all about getting the win, to be honest. But there we are.
Someone said it yesterday in the ground, and I can't remember who it was. And actually, the more they said it and the more I've thought about it, I think next Sunday he might start Rach up front. Give us a bit of physicality. I just don't know. I just can see him doing it. It worked against Chelsea. I can see it working. I can see him doing it again. My only issue I had yesterday is when Jayde went down. When she went down,
twice.
I was like, oh, God,
everyone's just. I was going to bring that up actually because you could tell when she went down like a couple of minutes after she came on, and everyone was just like, "Oh no, please get up." It was like a correct collective groan when she went down. But yeah, to be fair to her as well, we're talking about the fight, and I understand it from her point of view. But I think there was a tackle towards the end, she fully pulled her legs away and backed out of it because obviously she doesn't want to get injured again, does she? But speaking of Jayde, let's move on to her actually because that was obviously a positive from the game, the fact that she's back. I guess the quick just go around on this one. How big of an impact obviously that is, looking ahead to the final. So Mark, I'll start with yourself on that one.
having Jayde back is a massive positive. For me, when she started against PSG, we all saw her playing. We were all like, "What we got here?" And then when she got that steady run of games and she started to climb it, for me, I think she's probably my player of the year, my player of the season. That's how much of an impact she's had on us. I didn't think losing Honor was massive. We can never replace Honor, but we've got Jayde and she's given us something different. So it's kind of like Honor 2.0 in a way. Not that she can ever duplicate Honor, but as Simon says there, she brings balance to the back line and attacking as well.
And like Ema said there, her and Jayde I actually thought linked up quite well on that right hand side when they played together. It's like having a proper right hand side because it's not unbalanced and you're not all like lopsided then.
Yeah, and also I know it's not technically game related, but she's also a popular member in the squad. She's friendly with everyone, and I think that goes a long way sometimes.
I was going to say while we're on there, that's just reminding me. Do you want to? There's something special.
I like the way I segued into that. Comment.
Yeah, I was going to say. It's just reminding me. There's something special coming out with Jayde Riviere this week, isn't there?
So last week it was the FA Cup press day at Carrington, and Deborah and myself were invited along. And we've got 2 exclusive podcasts coming onto our YouTube channel this week. We've got one with Lisa Nalsund, and the second one, which will be out towards the back end of the week, is with Jayde Riviere herself. So tune in, have a watch of them. They're quite interesting, and Jayde's is very fun, actually.
We'll leave it in the description in terms of link to it. Where can people find it? What is the YouTube channel called?
MUWSC.
There you go. You literally just have to type that in. That's literally it, and you will find it.
I was lazy when I came up with the YouTube channel name. That 5 letters, that'll do.
So there we go. We'll come back to that at the end as well, so you can give a shout out.
Isn't it interesting? MUWSC, if you were to read that out, sounds a bit like music, which is something that Connor knows nothing about.
Well, we don't have to get into that. I think I know why Mark just reacted to that because I've just had a notification come up on my phone as well.
Yeah.
Well, let's just ignore that for the time being. We don't have to look at that. What was the question? Charlie, Jayde, her obviously coming back into the team, and I guess the importance of that as we look to the final.
Yeah, massive. It makes it more balanced, doesn't it? We're moving other players around to. When her not being fit has meant we were moving other players around to fit in other players in their wrong position, to play other players out of position. It's just made it a mess, hasn't it? So that's huge. I just hope she can play 90 minutes. And then going forwards, obviously, if you start the season with her and Gabby, you're much stronger at the back. But we still need reinforcement there because potentially, as good as Jayde and Gabby are, we now have 2 really good fullbacks, both of who are going to be injury prone. So yeah, I'm really pleased to have her back. She plays much better with Jace. She does the overlap. It sounds really simple, but she plays on the overlap with Jace, doesn't she? She provides an option, which we didn't have for much of the season when she was unavailable. So yeah, pleased to have her back, but we need reinforcement there next season. Because I don't think we can guarantee that she'll be fit for a full season. That's my worry with her.
I was muted when what I was saying. I muted myself as well. I was unmuted, ready to read that comment out, and I muted myself as I started saying it. What I was saying was, I think next season for Jayde is huge. I think if she's got to be able to stay fit for a season. I think if she doesn't, United will probably start looking for potential other options, because I think there was a comment a bit further on, like how many years can you go on with a player that's kind of in and out with injury and things like that, which is a shame. I really hope she can, because I think she's that good. But only time will tell on that one. I'll come back to Simon's comment in a second. Barry, go on, round us off with the Jayde talk in terms of her impact in the game, but also just how good it is to have her back, for the final.
It's vital. Like, we've got 4 defenders, really. and if one of them is injured, it becomes a bit of a nightmare. I know we've got Mannion who can step in, and Evans is a good centre back. We know that. But in terms of fullbacks, we've got 2 because the other one's injured. So, from our point of view, having Jayde back is superb. I agree with what Simon put up earlier. That will bring balance to the back line. It makes it a little bit more sensible, a bit better for us. And, we should notice a difference from that. So for me, really, really pleased that Jayde's back. It was the one thing that we said on the preview that actually happened and came to fruition. We said if we give Jayde a little bit of time at the end, get her back up to speed a little bit, it should be good to start against Spurs now. And so for that reason, we shouldn't need to worry about having an issue. And my only hope is that she makes it through the full 90 at Wembley. And that the only thing that's needing to be lifted is the cup over her head.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that one. Yeah, I'll just echo everyone's things on it. I absolutely love her as a player, as a person. So having her back amongst the squad, obviously on the pitch, and also just offering the balance to the back line is equally as important as well. Sorry to break it to you, son. I started this a while ago. No, we're not going for another 2.5 hours. For anyone who watched that TikTok, some of you watched it for the whole 2.5 hours. I feel so sorry for you. Watching just me for 2.5 hours, that's quite a stretch. That was supposed to be an impression of me that Mark just did there. And believe it or not, I went on there. I was like, I'm going to do half an hour tonight. And then, whatever it was, 11:30, I was still sat there with you all watching and asking all kinds of questions. Apparently, I look like a Dan. That was a new thing that I had last night, but there we go. Honestly, Barry, that was my reaction as well. This guy kept putting it in the chat. Just like, you look like a person who would be called Dan. That's all he said.
Like it. Was that a 4th Dan? Taekwondo. Wow.
Oh, wait. I only got to orange belt, I think, in karate. Didn't get any higher than that.
You ever watched The Karate Kid?
The one with Jaden Smith, like the
Of
2000s.
course, you watched the one with Will Smith.
No, the proper one. We talk about the proper one.
The proper one with Mr. Miyagi.
I'm staggered.
What? The new one's quite good, actually.
No, it's not. It's got Jackie Chan as Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
And I like Jackie Chan, but he shouldn't be anywhere near Mr. Miyagi.
No, absolutely.
Shocking. No, the new one's quite good.
I might
You
have
are the
to
sort of person, though. If Connor watched it, he would think that Danny LaRusso was the bad guy, though. It'd be one of those. He'd come out with a ridiculous take from it.
I think
to be fair, but Connor does follow one of Mr. Miyagi's true rules of wax on his hair and he waxes off his hair. So we've got it all sorted.
It would work. Wax on, wax off.
Yeah, I think I have
to use his phone. Swipe off, swipe off. On his Tinder profile, go left. I go right.
I don't know. You'll have to ask somebody who uses it because I don't. That's just a rumor that started. I don't know what's going on here. Is there going to be more? I don't know what you mean by exclusive. I don't know whether you class me just talking on my own as exclusive. But we do put a lot of our matchday videos on there. So if you want to go and see all of that, a lot of it goes to TikTok now rather than Twitter. So that's a reason to go and be following it. Right, we'll come to player of the match then before we look to round this one off because we're conscious. Obviously, the men's game is live at the moment. Not that you're missing much.
But
worth watching.
We'll go around the house then. Mark, who would you have gone for player of the match in this one?
It's a tough one. And for the reasons we just literally talked about, I'm sticking for Jayde.
Charlie?
I voted for Garcia. I thought she was a really bright spark whilst she was on the pitch, and I was disappointed that she was the one to be hooked off. I thought she worked really hard, which is now one of the few things we're kind of hoping we'll see. And I think she always works incredibly hard, chases everything down, and we didn't see that from enough of the other players yesterday.
Who you had gone for?
No comment.
No, you can't do that.
Oh, why not? Says who?
Me,
You don't make the rules.
I do.
You don't. He makes the rules.
He thinks
Okay,
he-
no, you can't do that.
There we
I
go.
agree
There
with
we
John.
go.
If I listen, I thought Mary Apps did okay with her 6 saves, but the fact that she was staying on her goal line negates that for me. So if you're going to force me to pick someone, I would pick Melvine Mallard because she's the only one who looked like she was going to score a goal.
Wah, wah.
Interesting. Who would I have gone for? I think Jayde. I think she added. But I think Garcia is a weird one because she's got got the energy. She runs at players and everything else. But it's her end product. I don't think her crossing is great. She takes too long to shoot and things like that. So I'm a little bit, not too sure. Garcia did win the poll in the chat on 43%. What was the other votes? Leticia 21, Riviere 19, Zelen 15. So it was pretty close with the other 3. I don't know. I walked away from the ground saying Garcia and Zelen were the standouts. And I think I probably stand by those 2. I can't really pick between those 2. And the reason why I would have said Zelen.
Whoa. No. You're going to have to pick between one of those.
I just have. I just said the reason why I would pick Zelen. The reason why I would say her. And people are going to disagree with me, and fine, it's your own opinion. You're entitled to that. It's because for me, she was the only one actually trying to create anything in the game. Tooney took 17 minutes to even touch the ball once in the first half, and I don't think she was effective after that. Lisa Nelson, we've already spoke about. I don't think Hayden Ladd was great. She was the only one actually trying to play the ball over the top into space, and Garcia got onto a few of them. There's some questionable offsides, by the way, against Garcia, particularly in the first half. But it was Zelem's passing that created that, and I thought she was the only one that actually looked like she wanted the ball and was up for the fight a little bit. So I would have given it to her because of that. But yeah, see, Positive, I disagree. I don't think she did miss many passes. You're talking about missing passes. You want to have a look at the passing accuracy of everyone else in the squad compared to Zelem's. Zelem was one of the highest in the squad. When you look at Lisa and Tooney, Galton, all these players were lower than Zelem's was. So, yeah, each your own. I thought she had a better game than others. I'm not saying she was amazing. I'm not sat here saying she was an outstanding performer because none of them were. But for me, she was the better one out of the ones I saw. I would have given it for Jayde if she'd have come on at half time. But
first of all, my bad. I didn't hear you do that first bit, so sorry about that. But secondly, you should know by now already that if the team has had a poor performance, Zelem is automatically 10 points worse than everybody else before they even got off the bus. It's a madness. I've never understood it.
I think that's it. And Twillumbia says Stats FC. You said some interesting things in the chat tonight. It's not off stats. I said that leaving the ground before I'd even looked at any stats. On the eye, for me, she was the only one actually trying to create anything in the game. And then when I got home, I looked at the stats. And it backed up what I thought. Hang on. What's this saying here? Are you going to talk about the conversation you had with people after the game? But I know what you mean. Are you going to talk? Am I reading this question right? Barry, can you help me out here?
Okay, so want me to paraphrase? So basically saying, Connor,
yes.
Do you think you're going to talk about the chat that you had with some people after the game, but you decided you'd do it later in the video, probably last night, because they'd really like to know?
Yes. Essentially, all it was, I've just never seen everyone so negative. We were walking out the ground. Nearly everyone I spoke to leaving the ground was like, yeah, we're losing next week. And I've never heard that really before. It was very much just, not great. But yeah, I think that's what it was. I can't actually remember. A lot's happened in the last hour or so. And we've got another show in about 10 minutes. So I'm trying to think ahead to that one as well. Anyway, right, we'll wrap it up there because we have all got to shoot at some point. I don't know whether Charlie's going to dip before I end this or whether she's going to hang on to the end. We'll see. Mark, do you want to shout out the supports of socials and all those kind of things before we end this one? Where can people follow the
so you can find us on Twitter at MUW_SC, Instagram at MUW. I think it's all the same. We're even on TikTok, but we don't do 2.5-hour videos because we just don't. Like I said, this week we've got 2 exclusive podcasts with Lisa and Jayde. Give them a watch and hopefully see most of you next Sunday at the Cup final.
How many coaches are going down, by the way?
I think there's a limit. I think the last time I heard there was 10, but I could be wrong on that.
decent going. There we go. So for those of you, I know there's a lot of people actually asking me on the TikTok live yesterday what the supporters, the coaches are like. So I did give it. I've never been on them, but I did give them a 5-star rating, despite never.
No, but Charlie has. She's an independent review. She can be an independent reviewer.
There we go.
Surely all the coaches should be going. Is this the problem that the coaches haven't been going to the matches?
That's a terrible joke, though.
Like I do any other ones.
Well, that's also true.
There we go. So yes, make sure you're following all of the social supporters club. We're on at All for United WFC on every single social. As I said, we do some stuff on TikTok as well. We've got some other things coming out this week. It's likely going to be on Friday potentially. So keep your eye out for that one as we head up towards the cup final. As I say, it's a big week. We've been a bit more negative today because we have just lost to Liverpool, but we will get there at the end of the week. We'll be doing a completely different show come Friday, and we're previewing the final.
I'm a poem.
Oh, there we go. That's something to look forward to. Another Barry poem. We beat Chelsea when we had the Barry poem. So if that's not enough to get you back here Friday, 7 o'clock, I don't know what is. That one. Make sure you're liking the video, subscribing, all of that kind of stuff. And we should see you guys in the next one.